classic TV fans, Rick 9G here. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be talking about I Love Lucy, more specifically about Ethel's mother. Yes, Ethel's mother. You may think, well, was she even on I Love Lucy? If you remember, we did see Ethel's father on I Love Lucy, but I'm going to get into all the details of what most likely happened to Ethel's mother. She's actually talked about in many episodes, and we'll talk about it today. But before I get into that, I do want to let you know that I'm giving away a DVD set of the entire season of I Love Lucy that you see right before you. It will be free for a winner. You don't have to pay anything. All you have to do is watch the entire video to see how you can win. Now, while I'll be talking about many episodes from I Love Lucy, I'm going to focus on this one. It's 113, and it's called Ethel's Hometown. Now, in this one, Ethel, the Ricardos, and Fred are arriving in her hometown of Albuquerque. Now, everyone expects just a great family reunion, but what they find is a town really braced for the return of Ethel May Potter Mertz's return. Now, they believe that she is almost a movie star. She's almost idolized there. And when Ethel's ego gets totally out of hand, well, what happens? Lucy, Ricky, and Fred decide to burst her bubble. We have such amazing scenes with the Ricardos and Fred behind Ethel as she's singing, doing all these funny and hilarious things. But let's go back before that and look at the man who plays Ethel's father. This is the first time that we see him playing this character. He's played by the actor Irving Bacon. Now, he was in an episode before, Mr. Willoughby, and he was in the episode The Marriage License. But coming back to this one, it's really interesting. Mr. Potter, he is Ethel's father. Now, what's really interesting is you may wonder, well, where is Ethel's mother? Well, we have to dive a little bit deeper into this to look at other episodes, even going back to season 1. I have many examples where she is mentioned, because if you go back to this episode, Ethel's Hometown, she is only mentioned once. Now, what does Mr. Potter say? Well, Ethel answers in the actual episode by saying, I'll fix my hair up a little. Ethel May, take your old room. We haven't touched it since you left. Now, these are the words of Mr. Potter saying, we haven't touched it since you left. Now, why did he say we? The only people who apparently lived there were him, and that's it. Or was Mrs. Potter, that is his wife, there? But we never see Ethel's mom there. We never even hear her being referred to, except in this moment in this episode. But where else? Well, let's take a look at season 1. Now, in the season 1 episode, Fred and Ethel fight. It's a great one where that's what happens. Fred and Ethel fight in the beginning of the episode, and they make up around the first 1/3 of the episode, and then Ricky and Lucy fight for the rest of the episode. Now, it's one that's very iconic because we see Fred and Ethel super mad at each other, and that dinner scene with the Ricardos there as well. And then by the end of the episode, the Ricardos are mad with each other, and Fred is kind of trying to help along to get everyone back to speaking terms. Now, we see at the end of the episode that Fred says something very important. Now, when Ethel finds out that this was all a ruse between Ricky and Fred to get the Ricardos back together again, she gets angry. And according to Fred, this is what happens. Fred says, well, when I told Ethel the whole gag was my idea, she got mad and went home to her mother. Okay, so this is really important here, because first it's telling us that Ethel's mother is alive. She is present. She has a home or some type of residence, and Ethel went to her home. Again, that's very important because some people have even said, I've even heard a really famous book alleged that Ethel's mother had died. But according to this, how could he go home with her? How could Ethel go home to her mother if she's passed? So at least in this episode, we know that Ethel's mother is alive. Now the episode, Lucy does a TV commercial. You all know the one, the Vitamina Vegemin episode, where Lucy gets drunk off of that Vitamina Vegemin drink that she keeps saying, it's so tasty too. It's just like candy. It's one of my favorites. I know it is one of your favorites. But near the beginning of the episode, in fact, this whole episode, there's no Ethel. We don't see her. In fact, Vivian Vance is gone for reasons that have nothing to do with the actual script. But when Fred comes in to talk to Lucy, they are 1-1, and Fred says to Lucy, need any work done up here? and he says, Ethel's gone to see her mother for a couple days, and I got a lot of time. So again, Ethel, we see for a second time, is frequenting time with her mother. Again, she's alive. The episodes have continued on, and so you see that Ethel and her mother are really close. These aren't incidental occurrences. Moving on to season 2, the episode is called The Camping Trip. Now, this is one that we all know and love, where Lucy goes camping, and Ricky is trying to teach her a lesson so that she doesn't go camping. But you know what happens. Lucy one-ups Ricky, gets Ethel there, and they play all these gags on Ricky to try to have him basically sweat and get super tired. And basically it's a way of getting back at him for trying to get at Lucy in the first place. But Ethel and Lucy put their heads together, and Lucy has a plan to get back at Ricky. Here is what Lucy says. She says, well, of course, I'll need the help of a very loyal friend, one who will tell Fred that she's visiting her mother, but who in reality will be staying at a lodge nearby. Again, Lucy is using the idea that Ethel's mother is alive. Again, I'm trying to create a pattern here to show you that Ethel's mother has been alive this entire time. So now from that season 2 episode, we jump to season 4, which is where Ethel and the Mertzes and the Ricardos, they essentially go and visit the home of Mr. Potter and Ethel's mother. Are they living in separate locations? What is going on here? Now, I thought that. I was like, well, maybe they're divorced and they just didn't want to mention that. And every time Ethel's going somewhere to visit her mom, she just lives somewhere else. She doesn't live with Mr. Potter. But why does Mr. Potter use "we left your room"? That is he and someone else, right? That's the plural. So that must mean that he is either with Ethel's mother or he remarried. And that's possibly what happened. And they just didn't want to show another character as Ethel's stepmom. But it's so interesting. There's never a mention of it. They just kind of put it under the rug, even though she is mentioned. It's kind of an ironic thing. And finally, let's make a big jump to the last season of I Love Lucy. It's season 6. The episode's called Lucy and Superman. Now in this one, we know Superman and Lucy get together, and George Reeves comes on the show, and everyone just loves him. Such great scenes in the actual episode. Lucy and him together in the rain. Such great stuff. But before we see Superman, we see Ethel talking to Lucy, and Ethel is giving Lucy her flatware. This is actually flatware that belongs to Ethel's mother, and this is what it said. Oh, Ethel, he wouldn't do that in terms of pawning the family silver. Not your mother's flatware. So this is Ethel's mom's flatware. This doesn't say, though, that she's alive. She may have passed away. Maybe she passed away between season 2 and the time that we go to Albuquerque, but then why would Mr. Potter say that she and him or keeping the room just as she left it? So for me, there's no real way, in my opinion. I don't think that Ethel's mother passed away. I think that she may have been divorced from Mr. Potter, and Mr. Potter just simply remarried. And when Ethel went to see her mother, she went somewhere else. She didn't go to Albuquerque. It was just her unique time where she could see her father in Albuquerque during this trip, and that she didn't see him often, but she showed a great love for her father in the episode. And the episodes were great. But again, this is a mystery, and I know a lot of people say, well, continuity doesn't matter, but they wrote about her in so many episodes. These are all the examples, and they seem to want to keep a continuity. And so if we continue with that, this is the conclusion that I come up with. Now, did I miss anything? What do you think? But I would love to see an argument that is coherent, an argument that has maybe another clue from another episode that I may have missed. It was a lot of work compiling this all together. I did a lot of research for it, but then also something that I should say to all of you, I try to keep it very just personal, like a conversation between me and you, but the research that went into finding these actual quotes from the episodes was a lot. So I do appreciate your support on this, your thumbs up, and participate in the giveaway. It's a wonderful way for you to win all the episodes of season 3. All you have to do is be a subscriber, so hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so. Also hit the like button and leave a comment down below just letting me know what you think happened to Ethel's mother. As long as you explain in your own way using either my logic or new logic, you will be eligible. And finally, there's a link in the description. Click there. That's only for me. It's completely confidential to submit your information so that I know where I can send the DVD when I pick the winner. Good luck to all of you. Thank you so much for the support as always. And most importantly, be hopeful. Thank you so much to everyone who supports my work on Patreon. David D, Sally N, Gerard D, Greg S, Ricky, Citizen Kane 359, Kevin K, and Vito L. If you want to appear on this list, don't forget to look at the Patreon description in the link below. Thank you.